Hey, good evening, everyone.
Hey there.
Hi, girls.
Hi.
Are you doing?
Good.
Welcome to another edition of Community Action Talks. Today, we're going to be talking about the holidays. From mid-November onwards, we are bombarded with Christmas holiday messages. So, tis the season to be jolly. Fa la 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 la
La
la.
la la.
But for many, it's a time of stress and sadness. Few of us have the postcard perfect lives portrayed by advertisers. Some have financial troubles and can't afford the sleigh of presents they would like to be giving or feel they should be giving. Some are missing loved ones because of distance or death. Some are more alone and lonely. There are many reasons why some people are not jolly during the holiday season, and there are many ways of coping with that. So, tonight we're going to discuss how to survive the holidays and maybe even enjoy them, how to keep your sanity through it all.
And we've got some really good guests on tonight to give some great advice and chat about different options. So, for starters, we've got Betty Healy. Betty is one of the Seekers contributors.
Betty can't hear. Okay.
Oh,
You can't
no.
hear us, Betty? Oh, no.
And we just tested it and
And
everything
we
was
just tested
perfect.
it and everything was fine. And I couldn't hear Darlene when I was trying to bring her in before. We're gonna bring Steven, see if that works. Steven, can you hear us?
Absolutely.
Okay,
Oh,
so
perfect. So, our other guest is Stephen Duris, who runs a men's mental health discussion group. And he is someone who's familiar with holiday season woes from the past. He doesn't have them anymore, but he has experienced holiday season woes. So, where's Betty?
and I have Darlene. I'm gonna try to bring her in. I could not hear her before, but I'm gonna try to see if she hears us and if she is
It's gonna be one of
one
those
of those
days.
evenings,
Yeah,
right?
one of those
Anyways, we'll do what
evenings.
we can. I don't see a
Darlene,
camera for Darlene, so I'm gonna
Dar-
remove it.
Looks
Darlene
like
is.
you're stuck with me.
Oh, I'm
And
here.
Oh,
okay,
Yay, we
Betty,
hear you.
yay.
Betty!
I just,
Thank,
yeah. Don't know what
thank
happened.
Thank goodness. Betty's one of the Seekers contributors. She's a motivational speaker with a very positive outlook. And she is Julia's and my go to person because Betty always knows how to give the best advice.
We start the year with Betty all the
Yeah,
time.
we do.
I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but
It's
anyway,
a great thing.
we'll
It's
go with
good,
it.
Betty. It's good.
Absolutely.
So,
Mm,
how about Darlene? How are we looking with
Um,
Darlene?
she's not there right now. I'll circle around when she goes back. I'll try to bring her in.
Okay.
See if we can. Oh, speaking of,
Yes,
okay,
it is.
Darlene, can you hear us?
It's not on yet.
She's
No.
not on yet. She's
So we'll introduce her when
When
she
she
comes.
comes.
Sounds like the whole song, that song, when
That
she
that
comes
song, right?
down the mountain, when she comes.
Right.
yeah. I think Facebook has been having a bit of trouble anyway, so
It's been oh, there we are. Okay, Darlene,
let's
can
see.
you hear us? Yeah,
No.
this is not working, sadly.
The super
Um,
loser.
yeah, that's really too bad. Darlene is the organizer of the dinners at the Agora center,
Yep.
right?
Mm.
And so it would have been really nice to speak with her, but I'll see. Maybe she'll come back and try again, but we'll see. All right, great discussion tonight. I'll let Louise start with the questioning.
Yeah. Well, I think the first question is, why are people so stressed over the holidays?
Does
Wait,
anybody have any?
want me to lead that one, Stephen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go for it, Betty, because I don't have the stress.
Look,
Well,
Well,
stress and
yeah,
everything else,
yeah.
right?
I think, I thought that might be one of the questions tonight, and I have been contemplating it. I think the stress is largely around people's expectations.
Mhm.
And I think, and I know, even in my own family, that we put extraordinary expectations on ourselves and our family members and friends around what we're going to do during the holidays, how we're going to celebrate, gift giving. I mean, there's just so many different elements to it. And I'm a bit like Stephen. As we've gotten older, our family has decided to stop giving physical gifts.
Yeah.
Okay.
And what we do instead it is either make donations in the name of family members or and really cherish the time we have to spend together. And I think this has particularly come to light. In 2018, we lost my brother-in-law, and he was really in our family. He was like Mr. Christmas. And since his loss, Christmas has really changed in nature. And I think it's forced all of us to kind of re-examine what is the spirit of Christmas and what do we really want to focus on? And is that physical gift really that important? And I think missing David has been really challenging for all of us. And now that we don't have him, I know this last weekend we had a family celebration with Jim's family, and I just really wanted to focus on sitting quietly and speaking to people and checking in with them and saying, how are you? Like, what's going on in your life? What's of interest? What's new? And for me, that is the greatest gift I can give somebody and perhaps can receive from somebody else. But we do lay a lot of expectations on ourselves. And the second thing I wanted to add was when we don't achieve or when Christmas is disappointing and we think that we may be the cause of it for some reason, is exercising a level of self-compassion with ourselves and understanding that expectations are usually way over the top anyway, and that we need to just show up and simply do our best and really be happy with that and be content with that and not be so I was hard on ourselves, right?
Yeah, we have a comment. Dave says commercialization of holidays is totally terrible. Little baby Jesus does not approve.
I have to agree with that. I mean, that's the whole
Yeah.
other thing, right? The commercialization has
Yep.
really lost the true meaning of Christmas. And I mean, and even, or the holiday season, even if you're not a practicing Christian, you might be Jewish, you might be of another faith, but just the whole idea of the Christmas, of course, was essentially there to celebrate Christ's birth. And I think in the broader sense now, really being with family and being with your community. And yes, getting the commercialization is terrible. And it starts so early. Right, American Thanksgiving is kind of like the launch, right?
But it's even earlier than that now, because you see it starting to happen. Like if you go to the dollar store, you go to Dollarama, and Halloween is not even
Yep.
done.
Yep.
That the Christmas stuff is already on the shelves.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Julia.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know what to suggest to that. I mean, I tend to turn a blind eye to it, but that's me. I do think that if I were to say to someone, what could I do to prevent some of that, is to speak to your family members and the people you're going to celebrate with and ask them, what is it we want to create as a family unit this Christmas? What is our real focus? And you guys, Julie and Miley, you know me well enough to know I'm all about intentionality. But really asking people, what is it they really want? Because people don't step up and say, and I even watch in our family, some things we've been doing for years, we probably don't need to do anymore. But we keep doing it because it's out of habit. We
Yeah.
never really, yeah. And when things really did change in our family one year, when Jim and I mean, we have a whole whack of nieces and nephews. We were buying gifts for all of them. It got to the point where it was a little ridiculous, because when you've got 15, 16 nieces and nephews, and we have no children of our own, fortunately to buy for, but the gifts weren't being appreciated. The kids were just, I mean, it was just like they were tossing them everywhere. And we sat down after Christmas, all the adults, and said, is this what we want? And if it's not what we want, what is it we would like to replace it with? And we came to the conclusion that we just wanted quality family time.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think that it also it creates a culture of always wanting more and never being happy with what you have. And that is that really what we want to teach our kids?
No, exactly. I
Well,
think
a few years ago with our family, we have a small family, but we decided we're going to nix the gift giving because again, like you're giving stuff, you really don't need it. You're just giving it for the sake of giving it. We just get together now and have a nice meal and
Mhm.
relax and talk. There's no giving gifts or worrying about what to buy and all that stuff. We nixed all that a few years ago.
Yeah.
And
And
it
it's
What I
makes
don't what I don't like about buying gifts for people is half the time you never see them again. So if you bought somebody a sweater, for example,
Who, the
they
people
might
or
be
the
wearing
gifts?
it.
Yeah, I
but
was gonna
if you don't
say.
wear it every day, you never see it. So do they like it or they don't like it?
Yeah.
So from year to year, whatever. And like Betty was saying about the kids with the gifts, like things were flying. I remember when my son was small, like there's so much, and then it turns around and says, what else? What else? It's no,
Mhm.
wait a minute. It's now like this Christmas, if everything goes right, if we stay COVID free, my sister-in-law will be coming. It's going to be the first time since the beginning of COVID. And I'm actually looking forward to just sitting, having supper with the four of us and talking about life in general, and having a good conversation. And I think it's what it's more about now. And I get rid of the stress because I just don't give a damn anymore. And that's being very honest. If you don't like what I'm giving you, I'm not buying for you anyways. I buy for
Mhm.
my wife, I buy for my little brother, and that's it. I'm done. So like, kiss my
But-
grits.
But what about little kids?
Well, my little brother, I buy for him, and he deserves something. And Mary's little sister, we buy for her. But we don't have other kids in the family. They're
Oh,
our.
but I'm
basically our-
talking about kids, children.
Yeah. How old are they, little brother and little sister, Stephen?
Lance is 13,
Mm.
and Kayla
Oh.
is.
We're talking about the organizations, the
Yeah,
little
big
brothers and the
brothers,
Little
little
brothers.
big
Yeah,
brothers,
little
big sisters.
brothers and little
Yes,
sisters.
so
Yeah.
Okay.
that's-
Big
yeah.
brothers, big sisters. Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm a big brother. Mary's a big sister.
Yeah.
Okay. I
So-
wasn't getting it. It felt
No,
like
Louis thought you had a
Yeah.
little brother.
I was
no,
connecting the dots.
no, just in name only. And like I
Yeah.
get into stuff, and what bugs me is the kids today is everything is the video games, and I refuse. And I've told them time and time again, you're not getting a video game from me. You're not getting anything that has to do with video games. Last year I bought them a snowboard. Now get your butt outside and start doing stuff. And it's like,
Yeah.
Nice.
Mhm. I wanted to go back, if I could, to what Mylise was saying, though, about just sitting. And you said it too, Stephen. You're looking forward to seeing your sister-in-law, and we're all coming back from this COVID hiatus of not being able to see people. I think we just need to go back. What was the message of Christmas in the first place? And it really is about love
love and sharing.
and sharing. And we have interpreted sharing as giving a gift sometimes, but the greatest gift we can give is our love. And after the what I called the COVID hiatus, I think what people crave the most is just to be seen eye to eye and
Mhm.
and to have that relationship. And I mean, I think the big what if we just focused on that this year? And to your point, Louise, yes, I know little children expect gifts, and that's part of the Santa Claus and the magic.
Yeah.
I don't personally, except for my great nieces and nephews now, I don't have little children in my life, and I have so many. I wouldn't really honestly know where to start, and I don't think that they expect a gift from a great aunt or uncle. And I think, again, I think the greatest gift, even if I did have the chance to really see them, would be to give them a hug and to recognize them, to see them, to ask them questions. One of the things I've always endeavored to do with my nieces and nephews, and it's probably a factor of not having children of my own, is give them when I'm with them, to give them my full attention,
Mhm.
is to ask them questions, to show interest and genuine interest, and really listen. And My husband's often said to me, why is it at the family reunions the kids are always sitting at the picnic table with you? Well, the
Right.
reason is because I ask them questions and I listen, and they are also a gift to me because they're a different generation. So I'm learning from them, and they keep me anchored in a world that's different from maybe the one I know from my generation. So if we could just return to what is the real meaning of Christmas, and if it is love and sharing, and kindness and respect, then let's focus on that. I see someone saying it gets lost in the stress. Yes,
It does.
unfortunately. But the stress again comes from the fact that we feel compelled to buy this, that, and the other thing for everybody on the list. And I think at a certain point in time, we could take a deep breath and say, and start asking the question of ourselves and others, how can we do it differently?
Yeah.
Right.
One of the things that they suggest is that you set a budget and that you stick to that budget. However, it is really hard when you're going to shop and you see stuff like you're bombarded with commercialization of
Mhm.
Christmas, right? And like you get kind of carried away. Like I know I go and shop for my kids, and then I'm saying, okay, I'm not going to go over, I'm just going to buy this and this and that, and then I see this, and then I see that, and then I see the other thing, and they come up with all these cool little packages that for every single person in your life, that the chess player and the so it's kind of, yeah, it's kind of hard
And
to
honestly,
stick to it.
Julie, it's hard for me to relate to that because I actually haven't shopped for so many years, and I, God bless you, is what because I really, it's been almost 20 years since we stopped gift giving in our family, and it's and it used to be very
It must
stressful.
be freeing. Yeah.
Well, it's very liberating. And you know what? I used to, even then, if I didn't spend at least $50 on each niece or nephew, I wasn't going to get anything of real significance. So I can't imagine what the cost is today.
Yeah.
And then then we started exchanging names. That worked for a while, but eventually, again, we decided to pack it all in because no one needed it. That was the other thing. No
Mhm.
one needed all that stuff. And
So I've tried to kind of take a turn this year, and last year I started that actually with COVID. I guess this is what COVID taught me, is now I try to give, even though I do spend a lot of money on Christmas, I tend to try to give gifts of memories as opposed to things. So I will put money on going to do an escape room with them, or bringing them to a musical, or like, so I kind of, it's a double whammy.
Well, but that's a great idea because yeah, that's a shared time together. Exactly. Yeah.
And
Well, a
that's
girl,
what they're going to, and they'll remember
yeah,
that too,
yeah.
versus
Yeah.
stuff.
A
Yeah.
girlfriend of mine had this is I she had a really lovely way of dealing with things. She ended up being a single parent after a rather nasty divorce, and she was dealing with three young kids and not much money. So, she chose to do stuff with her children that was about uh, quality time that was spent with them and having fun with them doing the activities together rather than, spending a ton of money. And, so they would do things like, they would bake cookies together and pick,
Hmm.
the kids would pick what they wanted to do, and they had meaningful input into the cookie making, and they would make decorations for the house. They would make lists of what they wanted to do over the holidays. And, stuff, just all kinds of things like that. And it just sounds to me like uh, what a great way to have to raise children, not
Mhm.
to worry about a whole pile of stuff. I mean, she would give them gifts, as she was able to, but the gifts were often very practical, new pair of pajamas and stuff like that, and but crayons, a coloring book, nothing expensive. And
Yeah.
it was all, tailored around having the experience together. And I just thought, what a beautiful way. And her kids, now who are grown and adults, have passed on because they turned this into traditions.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh,
Well, I remember one Christmas when I was a kid, we didn't have anything at all. And I mean, we didn't even have a Christmas tree.
Right.
And one of my aunts who lived up in St. Catharines, her and her daughter and her husband come by. And when they come in, they were upset to see that there was nothing there. And they left. And a few hours later, they come back to the house with a Christmas tree, food, and gifts for my sister and I and my mother, I guess. I don't remember. But as you're talking, I remember, I don't remember any of the gifts. I don't remember one of the gifts at all.
Mhm.
But I remember my aunt's words saying every child has to have a Christmas. And I haven't seen that aunt. She's gone now, she's died several years ago, but it has to be close to nearly 70 years. But that aunt stands in my head above all other ones because she gave us stuff that and I don't remember, I don't know what she gave me, but she gave us herself, and is a true giving of everything. And it's like, wow.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
interesting here. Tom is saying that in 1931, Coca-Cola commissioned illustrator Hayden Sundblom to paint Santa for Christmas advertisement. Santa Claus was originally green.
Wow.
Oh.
Interesting.
thinking the Green Man, but I don't think that's exactly.
That's how commercialism got started.
Probably because Coca-Cola's colors were red, right? So I guess
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
changed
Red and
his
white.
outfit. And then Linda says, over the years, I have always tried to make a homemade gift for each of our kids, a gift of love. This year is going to be a different at Christmas. Yes, I'm so sorry for your loss, Linda. I'm throwing myself into baking and planning to give some tins to neighbors and some special people in
Yeah.
our lives.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that brings me to this aspect of Christmas. So we know that a lot of people have lost loved ones. Linda just lost her husband this just a month ago, I think. And
Aw.
so how do
Sorry,
you
Linda.
deal with grief?
Yeah, because
During
I
the
lost.
holidays.
It's going to be different for us. I lost my dad last year, and
Mhm.
it was like right before Christmas. I lost my oldest son in November, right before Christmas. And last year everything was so busy. I was in Calgary for December, got back. It wasn't really, I didn't really grieve it last year as much, but this year I'm really feeling their presence is missing. And I know with my mom too, she's finding it hard this year
Yeah.
because it's like it's sunk in now that they're gone. They're not going to be coming. So
Mhm.
I'm finding that's hard this year.
Well, usually the grief, everybody thinks you grieve as soon as a person passes, but it comes later. It's when the
Yeah,
little events happen that it
yeah,
hits you. When my mom passed away, I never cried. There wasn't a tear shed. It was about 6 months later that it hit me, and I knew she was dead, of course, but it was about 6 months later that hit me. A song came on the radio, and that was it. And so that's where my grief started. My grieving started.
yeah,
So we all grieve differently, and I I was talking to a lady yesterday who lost her mother about 6 weeks ago, and she said, "What's Christmas going to be? It's not going to be Christmas. You make Christmas what it is, and no matter how long ago or it's been, they're always in your head. They're always in your heart.
yeah.
So they're always going to be beside you one way or the other. I know my mother's always beside me when I'm eating, telling me to wipe my chin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Eat your vegetables.
I think what Stephen said is really important. I watched a really interesting TED Talk not long ago, and it was about a woman who had lost her husband but had since also remarried and even started a second family with her second partner. But what her message was is that the person that we loved and lost never ever leaves.
No.
They travel with you always, even when you get into other relationships. And I think that's important because I remember when my mom died, and it's a long time ago now. It's almost 50 years since my mother passed. And I can remember people saying to me, even 6 months later, well, what's wrong with you? Get over it. Well,
Wow.
grief has no timetable.
No.
And I think the other thing, having listened, and of course we've had losses in our own family as well, and I've had my own personal losses. My parents have been gone a very long time, but is to not hesitate to include them in the conversation.
Yeah.
One of my friends whose husband died said what was really upsetting to her was that people would ask her, "How are you doing?" and "How are you getting along without him?" but would never speak his name. And that's a huge mistake because she said it was so hard because no one ever mentioned his name anymore. So, I think that for those people who have lost someone and family members, to keep the name of the person or people like you, Marlies, your dad and your son,
Yeah.
still alive and part of the conversation. And when you have memories, Christmas memories, like very specific memories that might be important, do you remember the time when Dad did whatever? But not to just think, oh, we can't talk about it because they're no longer here. They're still part of an active, very living memory. Even, and as Stephen said, spirit never leaves. It's the physical body that dies. But spirit, and their spirit lives within us and around us, even though they're no longer physically here.
I can't remember who said this, but they said, as long as you live in someone's memory, you're alive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I talk to my son all the time. I know my mom talks to my dad all the time. Like I talk to them like they're still here. So they will still be with us at Christmas. Like you say, in spirit, just not in body.
My mom's been gone since 1988, and I talk to her almost every day.
Yeah.
And so, it's the people that you feel most comfortable with.
Yeah.
And one of the things that bothers me about this time of year is I'm twice divorced. And so many times people are afraid to talk about their first partners or their second partners or third partners even. And for me, I think if Mary stopped me from mentioning my first wife's name, which her birthday is on the 11th of December, so I'm going to be calling her. And I think if Mary stopped me from that, because she was an integral part of my life for many years, even though we're divorced, life goes on. And what is really nice is that Sandra, my first wife, has been to my house, had supper with us. I've been to her house, and along with Mary. So I think, and which makes it easier for my son. So the kids coming up have to know both sides of the family. And these ones that are battling, you're not going to do it with your father, you're not going to do it with your mother. This is wrong. This is bringing more stress on people than anything. Why don't you? My first wife and I is the only one I had children with. Her and I, when we split up, we said, okay, we're not together, but he's us. So let's make Christmas for him. Every year we did it right from the very beginning. And my son's always been part of both of our families. She's remarried, I'm remarried, but we always, if I go to Toronto or whatever, she comes down here, she come through to go down to PEI to visit him. She stopped here to have a cup of tea with us and whatnot. It's like, you got to be friends, and it makes it easier on the kids. And that's what a lot of kids are missing today. There's so many one-parent families and the fathers are away, the mothers are away, whatever. But these kids are the ones that are suffering. Your differences aside, for your kids, give them something for Christmas. Give them a father and mother that are not tearing each other's throat out.
Yeah.
Let them know that
exactly.
You can get along.
Well, that's an important message, Stephen. And I mean, I'm not relating exactly because I'm about to celebrate 50 years with my man, but or more. But no, I mean, we have many friends who are separated. I think it's also important, building on what Stephen said, building and the whole idea of having a loss that you're going to experience at Christmas time, because it could be a lost partner through divorce as well. I mean, right?
There's
But
many kinds of
if you-
losses.
Yeah, if you feel sad, God, feel sad. I mean, take a moment. Don't, I do say to people, don't disown your feelings or disallow them. That's not to say that you want to show up sad all the time. The thing is that if you're feeling a sad moment, step aside and go and do what you need to do, but acknowledge your feelings. Allow yourself to be compassionate towards yourself and understand where those feelings are coming from. And for God's sakes, if you need to cry, just cry.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that if you repress the feelings, you're making them last longer.
Not,
Absolutely, Julia, and they kind of bleed out of you anyway, right? Into
Yeah.
the environment, right?
but I also don't think that people should, they shouldn't be afraid of expressing them. That's part of the interconnectivity of people. If you're sad, it's okay, I think, to talk about it.
Yeah.
If you are around other people, you've got, you're giving them an opportunity to share your experience.
Absolutely. When I rarely can talk about my brother-in-law Dave. It's getting better, but without getting tearful. And if people see that, I don't apologize for it.
No.
At the same time, there are moments when I feel like I just want privacy.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at Christmas time, there's this expectation that you've got to be available all the time, 100% of the day to your family. And that's not healthy either, especially for people who are highly introverted, me. And I'm sure my Lisa, I know, is very introverted. And I don't know you, Stephen, well enough to know. But if you need that moment of just quiet and solitude, just to pull yourself out away from 10 or 15 minutes and catch your breath and do what you need, and just feel what you need to feel. Because I sometimes feel my grief is private. I don't necessarily want to share it. And there are other times when I'm really okay with people seeing my sadness.
Yeah, that's true. That's how I feel too.
Yeah, I fake it till I make it. I just
Said by a true extrovert, Julia.
yeah.
I like being around people, but I really enjoy my time alone also.
Yeah.
And I think where my marriage has come into it, Mary is very introverted. And I think she made me more of an introvert than I've ever been because I always had to be surrounded by people. Whereas now, I don't care if there's anybody here or not. I don't care if she's here. If she's gone out now, so that's fine. I don't have to have somebody around me all the time. And Louise is laughing, but I do care that she's here, like when she's here. But if she wants to go out for a coffee with somebody or do something, I'm not going to cry because she's gone out the door. We both have our own lives, but at this time of the year, I think I'm going to say it here because she's not here. I'm worried about her this year because of her sister. Last year at this time, she was supposed to come for Christmas. On Christmas Eve, she canceled on us. Mary has not seen her sister since the beginning of COVID. So I'm afraid that we're going to put a bunch of eggs in the basket, and Christmas Eve she's going to cancel again. And I don't know what it's going to do to her. That's my biggest. We're talking about stress tonight. That's my biggest stress. What's going to happen to her if her sister cancels? For me, I got to tell you very honestly, I don't give a damn. I don't care if she comes, she doesn't come. My son comes, he doesn't come. I don't care. I'm going to eat turkey one way or the other. But I know that if Mary's sister says she's coming and does not show up, I know it's going to devastate her. So how can I try to avoid something? And I don't know how to do it. And that's my stress. So I do have some stress, my days.
Yeah. Well, be careful what you give your energy to, Stephen, too, because, I think people forget that. And I am one, I always say to people, worry itself is also an intention. And if I'm going to start giving a fear like that, a lot of energy and attention, that you may actually attract it. Number one. Number two would be, I would have an open conversation with your wife and say, I am concerned about that. So what do you need from me to support you if that happens?
That I've thought about that, Betty, and I'm on the same page as you with that because I think I do have to have a conversation because I think if it did happen this year, it's the only sister that she talks to, at this point, and I think it might be kick the ones to break the camel's back, but that's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah.
I have 4 sisters, and I only talk to one, so I don't want her being in the same boat as what I did.
That's
And
another
I think-
hard thing at Christmas time is the estranged families, right?
There's
We all
some-
have that one person.
Oh,
Aw.
She just wants to say hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Pussycat.
Hey, everybody.
oh my goodness.
My name is Tasha. And my second name is Noelle, Tasha Noelle. 'Cause she
Oh,
came to us
there you
15 years ago.
She
What
she
a
almost looks like a toy, Betty. She doesn't
know.
look real. She looks
Well,
like a
she's a
soft
regular
toy.
her eyes, eh? Look at her eyes.
She looks like a
And her
soft
nose looks
toy.
like a black heart.
Very
Oh.
cute.
Anyway,
Beautiful.
you get down now. All right.
You're talking about a strange family. I used to worry all the time about my family not talking to me because when they started not talking to me, so what's the matter? Why is this? And I would chase them. And then I just come to the point, and I think this is where we talk about strength. I don't care anymore. And it's the same like we're all on the screen here now. If everybody has decided not to talk to me, I'm going to keep on living. As I did the same thing with my family. You don't want to talk to me? Don't talk to me. I got one sister that calls me every couple of weeks to see how I am, and I call her, and that's the one I care about. The rest of them could go, do what they want to do. One day, maybe we'll talk. One day, maybe we won't. I will go to each one of their funerals, though.
Oh, jeez.
It's like in the past, I would stress about how some people would act, like getting drunk, getting high, getting whatever at the Christmas dinner, right? And now I worry about them not being there, and it's just like there's a lot of stress around Christmas time and family, and
So
feud.
what if we switch gears a little bit and just started to look at who does show up and who is there and who is well behaved, and really focus on the gratitude we have for the folks that are there. I have one brother who a year ago told me he didn't want to ever hear from me again, and I understand that we're very different, and but he's my only family other than his 2 sons, who fortunately I still have a relationship with. So it is hard when families are divided, but the thing is that my brother and I are very different people, and there's quite an age difference between the 2 of us. And I understand, I guess I just want to bless him and wish him well, but I don't want to any longer stress about the lack of relationship we have. I bless my husband, who recently said, Betty, he just doesn't want you in his life right now. And so respect his wishes and just step aside. And that's the best thing he ever could have said to me, because I was really trying too hard, because he was my only brother and really my only all my living family, and I thought, okay, well, that's actually really good advice. My husband is obviously the coach's coach here, but it's made a difference for me, because when I looked at it like that, because I want to be a respectful human being, and if somebody really doesn't want to be in my life, then I need to be able to respect their choice, even though I may miss them. So I'll just, when I get into missing, I go into blessing, and I'll just say, well, I bless them and I wish them well. I don't know what else to do with the energy other than that. And just be grateful that as far as I know, all is well in his life, and all is well in my life. And be really, really grateful for the good friends that I have, who I can surround myself with, and my wonderful, and my husband as well, who some of you guys know, is, just, I think that's the other thing about Christmas for me, is that the Christmas message was not just love, but it's also to kind of count your blessings, to recognize the good and the great things that are in your life. And I think so much of that has just gone down the drain during COVID, that we need to start bringing that back and really remind ourselves. And people in Canada think that they face real hardships. We have no idea.
No.
I mean, we really, the whole idea of loss of freedoms, loss of, or us really facing hardship, can't hold a candle to what goes on to in other places in the world. So, I know I'm being very philosophical right now, and I don't know if that's what you expected, but I just do think that there's so many other things we could be focusing on, that we give so much energy to fear and worry and stress, which is what causes stress, that if we took at least half of energy and kind of redirected it to, well, yeah, but let me look at all the amazing things that exist in my life, and have some gratitude for that. We do know from the scientific studies that they're doing that a daily practice of gratitude really raises our level of health in so many different ways, emotionally, spiritually, physically.
Yes, I wanted to jump in on that one because I've had experience in my life with depression. And the thing that got me out of it, like we're talking heavy depression, was to start a gratitude practice. And it was something, it was, I did it every day for 30 days. And I had this, this is when I was younger. I had a long depression. I couldn't get out of it. Nothing was working. And I started to do, I would write out my little book. Okay, well, what did I notice good today that I'm grateful for? Okay, well, so and so at the grocery store smiled, or I'm grateful for my brother. I'm always grateful for my brother, or whatever. But I looked for it every day. What was I grateful for? And I have to tell you, it did more for me overcoming depression than anything else I did.
Yeah.
And they say it's because it rewires your brain. It changes the neural pathways.
I believe if you walk around smiling, you're going to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And you're going to make other people happy. And I don't hide it. I'm a suicide attempt survivor, and and I've been through a really, really deep depression also. And your gratitude, every morning I wake up, I'm happy I'm still here, and I'm happy with what I'm doing. And I think coming on to Christmas here, for what's getting me more and more motivated towards Christmas is not what I'm going to be giving Mary, because I bought all her gifts yesterday, or not what I'm going to be getting because I don't want nothing, but it's what I'm going to be doing for other ones right now. And it's the whole thing that I'm looking at now in our area, and I'm up in near Alexandria, so. But in all in SDG, there's a lot of people that really need our help right now, and I think that's where if you want to get yourself happy, pick a family, do something for that family instead of buying hundreds of dollars of gifts for some kids that's going to throw it over their shoulder and go for the next present. Go out and spend that $100 on a family and give them a meal that they'll remember for a long time down the road. And there's a lot of places we can find out who to support that family, where to get them, and what to do. And that's what I plan on doing. I've already given to two places that are giving out meal baskets, and it's what it's all about for me. In the last few years, it's not what I'm doing for me. It's what I could do for somebody else who's in the same place as I was when I was a kid. I mentioned my aunt, my uncles before. They're the ones that came in and gave me a Christmas I'll never forget. So I just want to give some other kid or family a Christmas they won't forget. And I think that's what we all should be. All of us that could afford it, and there's not everybody could afford it, but anybody can afford it. $100 is not going to kill anybody. For what they can't afford it.
We were talking earlier, and Louise came up with something really interesting when she was little. I really like that idea about giving. So I'm going to let you talk about that.
Sure. When I was a kid, we used to, we would get our Christmas presents in the morning before we went to church, right? And the deal was, you had to look at all your presents and decide and pick one that you were going to give away. And then you would rewrap it and you would bring it to church and you would put it in like a creche or something like that for those who didn't have toys and whatnot. And you know, I have to confess that one year I chose my coloring book, and then I came home and it was like, oh no, what did I do? Wrong present. But good training,
Yeah.
you know.
And I
It's
think
yeah,
that's something we
absolutely.
have to teach our kids coming up, is that we all have to give.
Yeah.
You know, I'm from a generation that gave and keeps giving. And I think we have to teach the kids coming up now, it's not all you can get, it's what you can give also. It's
Yeah, and I find a lot more joy in giving than receiving personally, and I hope that I kind of give that to my kids, like, pass that on.
I love the tradition you had, Louise, and I think unfortunately these days, because church is not a large part of many families' lives anymore.
loss.
Know that,
But it doesn't need to be.
but it
I
wouldn't
mean,
have to be that.
it's not
Yeah,
part of my life anymore. But the point is that you can turn around and go, well, there are plenty of places who will accept toys, who will accept food,
Yeah.
who will accept, homemade, I don't know, scarves, whatever
Yeah.
you can make or donate. There's a lot of places that can use it. I think that we were talking about Agora before, because
So
I
Darlene Brabant, who was supposed to be with us tonight and
yeah.
unfortunately it didn't work, she's organizing the meal at the Agora Center. And Louise was saying that they do give gifts there. So let's start a new tradition. Let's invite people to rewrap one of their gifts and bring it to the Agora Center
On
to give
Christmas
away
Day. Yeah, on Christmas Day.
on Christmas Day. Yeah,
Yeah.
because they have the
Why
dinner
not?
there.
I
And
mean,
anybody got the time, why not go by a senior's residence? Because there's a lot of people going to be alone there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I'm going to be in that category someday. I hope not for a long time, but I like to have somebody drop in and say hello to me too.
but
If I can remember who they were.
if you know that a senior who lives near you, who might be on their own, bring them a meal or invite them for Christmas dinner if you're having one. Or, the other thing is, have Christmas spaghetti with a bunch of other orphans if you're an orphan for Christmas.
Mary you went and makes shortbread cookies, and across the road from us there was two sisters, and there was three houses, and every year when they were all here, when they were all alive, actually, every year Mary make the cookies, and Christmas morning she'd go around and hang them on all the doors.
Right.
And
Oh.
it's something that we kind of miss now because it's not them anymore. But she started doing it with my new neighbor, who's been here. Well, new neighbor's been here about 5-8 years now. And he starts to laugh about it now because he came out last Christmas. Says, "Where's my cookies?" I haven't wrapped them yet, but it's like you start little traditions around, and also that this whole thing's supposed to be about stress. And I think if you want to alleviate stress on yourself, is Mary has a sign on the fridge that says, "Have more, desire less." Have as much you want, but don't desire everything that you can't desire. But do something for somebody else, and that takes the stress off of you. Because you don't have to prove yourself to anybody. You're proving it to you that you still got it in your heart to give to somebody.
What do we do, and what should people do when they're really very sad, very lonely? Because that happens a lot. Yeah.
Go and talk to somebody. When I was in the early 90s, when I went through my crap, I spent 2 Christmases, I remember, alone. And on Christmas Day, it's a day you should never be alone. Nobody should be alone. And I remember sitting in Tim Hortons having a coffee at noon hour on a Christmas Day because I had to wait for them to open. And I waited for the first person to come through just to have somebody to talk to. And so if you're feeling alone, and get out, go someplace, even go for a walk. You're going to meet somebody to talk to, especially if you're in the city. Not where I am so much. You're going to meet the odd cow now and then, but that's about it. But you're in the city, you can meet somebody. But there's all kinds of places that you can make plans before Christmas.
Yeah.
Don't wait till Christmas Day. Make a couple of plans before Christmas. I want to go here so I can meet with somebody. Because nobody should be alone. Even if you're not a Christian, even if you don't believe in Christmas, nobody should be alone on Christmas Day.
But I think, Louise, you raise a really good question because, again, it goes to, I mean, I find myself even getting a bit sad sometimes at Christmas because we have all our Christmas celebrations with our families beforehand. Jim and I are the only ones without children.
Mhm.
Our tradition was to always have Jim's parents with us on Christmas Day, and now we're no longer able to do that. They're both in residential care or nursing homes and not able to join us because they're no longer cognitively or physically able to do it. So now we're back to just the two of us. And I mean, we're fortunate that we have each other, but I still feel that an element certainly of sadness and because the family celebrations by the time we get to Christmas Day have been had.
Well, we have that as well. My brother and I both come from Montreal, and I moved here because I got married, then I got divorced. And when my father passed away, he left us a little bit of money. So my brother and I bought a duplex in Cornwall. I stayed because I'd made a ton of friends here. And I don't have kids, neither does he. So it's kind of like the two orphans. And so we have gone. We went one year to the Agora Center and bumped into different friends, which was actually great. They did a terrific job, actually. Family Corner Restaurant also does a lovely sort of giving back to the community,
Mhm.
and the food is always good, anyways. But stuff like that, and I think that people should, if you're alone, get out. Especially just like get out of the house. I agree with you, Stephen. You could go to eat, it doesn't matter. Even if you went to, Tim Hortons and said hi to whoever walked in the door, it doesn't matter.
I think the thing we have to remember, though, is that some people may not be able to get out.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we see it. We're now living on the corner of Sydney and Second, and our building is a 55 plus building, and there are many people in this building, and
Yeah.
we haven't, well, because we moved in here during COVID, we still don't know most of our neighbors.
Well, maybe we should start something where people who are going to be alone can like a sort of a registry of
Yeah.
alone people, and you can turn around and go, okay, I'm going to be alone on Christmas Day, and you either organize with a couple of people to do something, or you go out and have a coffee with somebody you don't know.
Go see a movie. The theaters are always open on Christmas Day. You can go see a
Yeah.
movie.
Okay.
And we're talking about people who are alone. If you're not alone when you're going out on your day, just smile to people.
Yeah.
Reach out, smile. You don't know what people are going through. Sometimes a smile is all it takes to get them out of their.
That could be in their gratitude journal.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like it when I'll go for a walk and you'll kind of smile at somebody or say something. Sometimes it just catches them unaware because they don't expect anyone to talk to them.
Yeah.
And just the reaction that you get is really nice.
Yeah.
I really like that too.
And the other thing I suggest, this is a really tough time of year to be working in stores because, of course, people who are, especially as we get closer to Christmas and the last minute shoppers. So I always say to people, if you are doing that, be really grateful for the people behind the counter.
Yeah.
And smile at them, thank them, wish them a happy holiday or whatever you want to do. But be polite and grateful that they're there. We know how many businesses have we heard of in the last few months can't get workers. So we want to really cherish and be grateful for the workers that are showing up and doing these jobs who may be also underpaid. We don't know, but I think to Mylisa's point, what we're all saying is let's. I guess one of the things I'm doing in the morning right now is before I get out of bed, I have a short meditation and I put my hands over my heart. I simply say this: "Let me be loved today."
Oh,
And wouldn't that be interesting if we all did that? And I don't mean it to be corny, but if you just think about who do I want to be in the world? What energy do I want to spread in the world? Well, and especially this time of year, we talk about love, but what else could we do? Well, let's just put it, just call it in. And you know what? I'm not going to be loving to everybody I meet that day. Some people are going to royally piss me off. But at the same time, the chances are probably better if I ground myself in the morning and say, let me be loving today, or let me be respectful, let me be a voice of kindness, and just kind of anchor it in our bodies and watch what happens. Because this is part of intentionality. What we choose to be or what we decide to put in our bodies that day comes out from us as an energy field, and then
Yep.
we attract it back to us. It's that great energetic exchange. And so yeah, I'm doing it partly as a personal experiment right now, just to see how that thought process every morning could change and shift the experience of people around me.
I say hello to everybody I pass. Yeah, my little brother, I would go out, and it drives him crazy because people are passing me and I look at him, say, hi, how are you today? And, a little bit of a conversation moment. So he'll say to me, who's that? I say, I have no idea.
Yeah,
And he
exactly.
says, then why are you talking to him? I said, why not? You got to get it. And I think that's what's going to start making not one person doing it, but I think everybody's got to start giving stuff out. And Benny, your part about meditation in the morning. I meditate all day long. Every chance I get, I take that couple of minutes just to clear my mind, put my feet back on the ground, and but I'm going to try it before I get out of bed the next time. If Mary doesn't kick me out too quickly.
But it is that kind of point before your feet hit the ground every morning. What do you want your feet to hit the ground with? What energy do you want to hit the ground with? And if we all just gave that some thought, and maybe some people want to hit the ground with something much less nice than that. That's fine too. But they'll also begin to see how that will influence their life. And I don't know, Julie. Have we answered your question about stress?
Pretty much, yes. I think we got a lot of good tips, a lot of good info here, and we're at the top of the hour. So I want to thank you both for joining us today. We're gonna have a little wrap up with Louise, Mylise, and I. But thank you, Betty. Thank you, Stephen. I wish you a very Merry Christmas if we don't talk to
Yes.
you again.
All right.
Well,
thank
we
you
will
so much.
talk to them both again next Monday.
Oh,
Oh,
That's right.
that's right. That's
We might
right.
have to.
Gosh, I forgot about that.
Yes, I forgot about that.
At our Christmas supper.
Christmas
I'm
gathering.
gonna get
Let's
drunk
do
as a
that.
skunk.
All right.
Well,
We'll
thanks
see
for
you
the
soon.
invitation, you guys.
Bye,
Okay.
guys. Thank you very, very
Bye-bye.
much. See you
Yeah.
Monday.
Bye for now.
Thank
bye
you.
bye.
All right. Well, that was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It was interesting. Betty, like I said, Betty is a woman full of wisdom. She's always got the right things to say.
Okay, so I want to tell you, I have a guest behind. Oh, he left. Okay, so yeah. So there's been a lot of chatter in the chat, and I had a guest in the back there waiting to go in, but I didn't. I'm not even sure I wanted to bring him in. He looked decent, but we never know. So okay. So well, that was an interesting conversation, right? Are you both like ready for Christmas now?
Well, as I said, it is myself and my brother. So it's not really, I'm ready for Christmas because I'm going to hang out with a really nice gang of people, right? But uh, the whole, to me it's not that important. It's one day of the year. I like to look out. I like to look at the snow and all of this business. I like to go out. But
What snow?
well, there is no snow right now. No, pathetic. But
Yeah, my kid is always telling me, where's the snow, Mom? I want snow for Christmas. I'm like, no, I don't want snow for Christmas.
climate
Well,
change.
you want to know where the snow is? It's in Calgary right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And my kids will be very happy to send it here. I know, because they've had it for quite some time. And yesterday it was like -20, so they're done
Oh,
with it.
God.
They're done with it.
Please,
But
no.
yeah, for me, it's like Christmas isn't the same. It's different when you have little kids. You know how that goes, Julia.
Yeah.
Like, I
Mhm.
don't know, when my kids were like, 3, 4, 5, little, they'd all get up early Christmas morning. They gather all their little piles of presents and it'd be exciting. When my grandkids were here too, like they were younger, 5 and 7, it was fun. Now we're all kind of getting older. Sheldon's kids are 21 and 15. It's not the same. And my grandkids are now 7 and actually 8 and 10. They're in Calgary. We're going to be doing the Skype thing.
Uh-huh.
But as you get older, it changes it. It's not the same thing anymore, I find.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I bought a whole bunch of board games, so there's going to be a lot of fun at my house. It's going to be entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I we have like a chess tournament going, and we have like we're going to have all these board games, and yeah, it'll be fun.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm just looking forward. I like when I look at to me, Christmas is winter, and when I look at winter, what I really like is I like when you wake up and everything is coated in fluffy snow.
Well, yeah, like
Beautiful.
if there's no snow at Christmas, it's going to suck. It's not going to be
Yeah,
Christmas. Like,
it'll
but just
happen
for
though.
Christmas Day, that's it. Like after that, it can melt for all I care.
Well,
Couple of weeks.
I love it when it's like at night in the evening, everything is quiet. You go for a walk, you got that crunching snow under your feet,
Yes,
and it's
that's lovely.
quiet, and the snow is just gently coming down. That's when I love the snow.
So Joe is
beautiful.
back there. Should we?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, let's see if Joe's gonna behave. Hi, Joe.
Hey, what's up, ladies? Julia, Louise, Marlis.
How are you?
I'm good.
Are you
But
stressed
there's
for
just
Christmas?
something that's been on my mind. I just kind of want to get it off my chest about Cornwall. I've lived here for over 20 years. All right.
Okay.
And this guy Frosty, running for mayor, his crappy rap songs, he dyes his hair. As a
Well, we're
citizen of
talking about
Cornwall,
Christmas here.
I'm tired of it. We need to take these politics seriously. Okay.
Okay, bye-bye, Joe.
Joe, we weren't talking about that, but we could. We could talk about it some other time, but not tonight.
Some other show.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is
Today.
Christmas. Like we're talking about Christmas.
Yeah.
We're talking about Christmas, and we're also talking about coping, and I think that some of this stuff is also we spent a lot of time talking about sort of sadness and depression, but it's also just anybody who's finding it difficult. Again, keep a perspective that we have to realize that it is one day of the year,
Mhm.
and that there's a meaning behind it, and there's actually several meanings behind what celebrating Christmas. And it's not about how perfect you are at delivering dinner or presents or any of it. It's a lot more to do with sharing with other people.
Yeah.
Whether it's family or not. It's about being able to give to others, and and I agree with Betty, including to yourself. I mean, if life hasn't given you this year everything that you want, okay, then make the best of it if you can. There's one thing I wanted to add, because I put this in. Was something that has been circulating around Facebook, and
Yeah.
I think it's kind of important, and because I also posted it until somebody corrected me. There's a lot of posts about the number 988, which is a number in Canada and the U.S., or it's in the U.S. at the moment, as a suicide hotline. Okay.
Mhm.
It's not launched in Canada yet. It will launch next year. So in the meantime, and we can post it in the notes. If you're feeling suicidal, okay, there is a number that you can call, and it's 24/7, 365 days of the year. And please reach out if you're feeling like that, There's also a text number that you can use from 4 p.m. until midnight Eastern Standard Time, or Eastern Time. And I really think it's important that to address a little bit that if you are feeling like that, as somebody who's really gone through it a few times in my life, I can tell you, usually it gets better. Eventually you get past it. Eventually you learn how to cope.
Yeah.
And something that, you know, the things that you felt were missing in your life, often you will find. Just take heart and reach out. Please, please, please don't hurt yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just and I know it's easier said than done, because reach out is a big deal when you're in a depression.
Yeah.
Reaching out literally takes every bit of energy you have.
Yeah.
But please try not to let it go to that
Yeah.
level and reach out.
I'm getting emotional about it, but I
I-
know what it's like. I
Yep.
know exactly what it's like. I know what it feels like. I know about the black hole of depression. I know all of that. And
Oh, so do I. Like my first
Yeah.
husband was manic depressive, and I used to criticize him so harshly about, you know, his emotions, and always telling him, just kick yourself out of it. Like, you
Yeah,
know,
it
just
doesn't
kick.
work that way.
And until I had a major depression.
Right.
And then, oh my God, did I understand, you know, where he was coming from. And it was really hard for me. Like I
Yeah.
didn't want to be on medication. I didn't, you know, I felt that I was weak if I was going to go on medication, that, you know, God should be enough, because at the time I was Christian.
Mhm.
So yeah, I thought, you know, I should be able to get myself out of this. And it's a young girl who actually told me one day, she put me aside. She saw how hard I was having a hard day. And she pulled me aside and said, you know, if you were diabetic, would you refuse insulin?
Yeah.
And I'm like, huh, no, you know. And I did go on medication for a little while, and it, you know, enough to get me out of it. But yeah, it's a dark place to be at. I never want to feel that again. So please reach out.
Well, that's the thing,
Yeah.
is that when you sometimes this is what I think is important to tell people, is that because I have gone through a couple of times really heavy ones, long, and got out of it. And as I said earlier, ridiculous as it might seem, the gratitude practice, which initially starts feeling completely fake, you know, and if you're really depressed, it's really hard to find something to be grateful for. But it really, it was surprising, and I wrote it down every day, and it was. I still have the book somewhere, and I've looked at it, and it's like, oh my God, that was pathetic, you know. But it worked. It worked
Yeah.
for me.
Yeah, that's really
That's good.
interesting. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I've had, I mean, we all go through bouts of depression, I find
Yeah.
too, and you usually able to kick yourself out of it. But and our kids, some of our kids go through it too, and we try and help them and the
Yeah.
best we can. But it is
Yeah.
hard.
But people, you know, they stigmatize depression. They judge people who are like, be kind, be human kind.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yep.
Yep.
We need more of that.
We do.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Yeah, that should be the Christmas gift to everybody.
yeah.
Kindness.
Just
Kindness.
kindness.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that's a wrap for us today, gals. On January 12th.
12th.
So we were initially supposed to have another talk today. It was supposed to be about food insecurity, but we were not able to coordinate because it's Christmas time. So people are having Christmas parties. So January 12th is when we're going to have our talk about food insecurity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in the meantime, have a lovely holiday. And if it's not lovely, you'll get past it. Do your best. Take care of yourselves.
All
We'll
right.
see you all soon.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.